I saw it, I thought this has to be fake. There must be some wires that are holding you when you jump and you just stay there. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, this jumping thing, you hang in the air. What is the gravity principle going on here?
I think it's a camera.
That's what I thought, but I looked at it several times. You do that for real. What is that?
I mean, dance is life. It's a lot of dedication, and you know, my teacher always said.
Keep it up to your
Sorry, yeah. My teacher said you have to jump as hard as you can. You have to be like a big plane, and that was my goal. You know, that's what excited me about dance. It's acting and jumping. You know, that's what's exciting, to be there and for a second to stop in air. That's what's exciting to be being on stage.
So we have Michael Jordan, you've probably heard of, the air. He could do that for like a quarter of the time you could do it. He was famous. It was just remarkable. I have another question, which is, having watched that film, I still don't really know, do you love ballet? Do you hate it? Do you love and hate it? What do you really feel about ballet?
It was a long journey, and after this movie, not just after this movie, it's after shooting Take Me to Church, I realized how much it meant to me. You know, when you're at that point to stop, then you realize what you're missing and what you're gonna lose. And before that, I was like, I can do it. I can definitely stop dancing and I can move on. And I couldn't. And I realized I just have to accept my mission, and you know, to promote dance and to give that pleasure to people is what I do, and get that great energy from the audience. You know, that's a conversation, and you cannot. I realized you cannot get it anywhere else. So I realized dance is who I really am.
There was an amazing moment, there are many amazing moments in that film, and clearly the whole trauma with your parents affected you deeply. But the moment that most touched me was when you went back to Kherson to meet your first teacher, Galina. And the joy that came out of that, it was like, wow. Because up till then we've been seeing the sort of the troubled journey you had, and being on your own in London, I'm sure was very hard. But it was like coming home, and there was that moment, and then she gets up on stage. It was, tell me about her. She must be quite extraordinary.
I think your first teachers are the most important teachers, and she taught me how to be free. All I was doing when I was a kid is improvising, so there was no limits. So when I started doing ballet, it's very, you know, two-dimensional, like this way, this way, this way, and I realized you don't have to be that way. You know, you can be one day this way, another day you can do a completely different way, and if you fall in this way, you just make something that way, you know, and if you're falling off the pirouette this way, you just improvise and finish that way. So that was the greatest lesson from her I learned. It's this freedom of make whatever you want on stage, you know. You don't have to put yourself in a bracket. Of course there is some walls there, but like you're completely free. And one of my first performances, somebody put a wrong tape. I was 9 years old kid, and that was my first performance, school performance. You know, important people from Japan. It was a big delegation of people watching, and they put just the water on. So instead of a song, there was just the water like going around, like, and so I was like, okay, I have to do it, you know. So for 3 minutes, I was improvising on the sound of water. And then after that 3 minutes, my song started, and I was like, no. But that gave me the freedom not to be scared of anything, you know. When you're improvising, you're creating on the go. So that was the best thing I could be doing at the beginning.
The other thing that comes out really strongly in the film is the physical toll on your body, the pain. Even when you're young, you're in your late teens and then 20s, and just I can see in the dressing room you're in pain a lot. Is that just that goes with ballet at that level? It's going to take a toll on your body.
It is. I take dancing like a drug, and because I'm 26 and I did it for 23 years. If I don't do it, it's like, even today I woke up and I was like, I'm not gonna do it today because it's a lot happening today, and I almost fainted like by 4 o'clock because my body got into cramps. You know, I did.
The moment was when I got a phone call from the producer, Gabby Tana, who's over there. You should stand up.
Hi, Gabby.
Gabby and I have been friends for a while, and Gabby is a very successful producer in London. And Sergei was very well known in London. Gabby knew him. I'd never heard of him, but she said, I want to make a movie about this guy. He's the best dancer in the world.
And when was that? What year was that?
That was probably 2012.
2012. Can you keep the microphone?
Yeah, sorry.
So that's 2012.
2012, Gabby called me and said, I want to make a movie about this guy. He's the best dancer in the world. And I thought, you know, sounds amazing. I have a daughter who's a ballet dancer, and I'd love to make a film about a ballet dancer. I'd never heard of this guy, but sounds interesting. And he had just left the Royal Ballet and was just starting to hit the headlines, and then you started to read about this guy. You know, after he left, they started to call him the bad boy of ballet, and there was started to be this kind of hype around him. And that's when right around then is when we jumped off.
And how was that process getting into his life? At the beginning, I noticed somebody made the comment that he never turns up for press interviews. I'm glad you're here tonight, thank you. But how was it getting into his life in the sort of ballet world? I mean, with the camera.
I said he turned up for all the interviews. I don't think he was very happy about a lot of them, but he showed up for all of them. I think it was a process of getting to know each other and getting to trust each other that took a while to sort of, for both of us are probably a little on the shy side, and took a while for the walls to come down and for the trust to be there and for him to open up. And I think that did eventually happen.
But we had a few funny situations. You know, Gabby was like, oh, Steve is coming. He's probably like 12 people crew to film you in London. And I was like, I don't really feel like that. You know? So she's like, no, we need to do it because it's important to finish it. And so they turn up, and I was like, what can I do to ruin that? So I dyed my hair blonde.
That's why he wears a hat in the movie sometimes.
And so yeah, it turned out like completely blonde, and Steve was like, so no continuity into the story. So he was like, you have to wear a hat. But it's just funny to see people's reaction. And Gabby said she never seen anybody not to hide their disappointment like Steve. He was like. But he's a great director, so he found a way.
You know, you're only 26, and yet watching that film, it feels like several lifetimes of experience that you've gone through. Particularly, I mean, there's a lot of pretty intimate stuff with your family. Have you kind of come full circle with that now? I mean, it seems like your mom and dad are now at least coming to watch you dance. And where does that leave you in terms of your future?
I think it's always an issue with the family. Something is going right and something is going wrong. And I blamed ballet for not being able to unite families. So that was, instead of trying to go and visit them and call them, I was like, because of the ballet, I cannot unite my family, you know. So we're getting better, you know. So there's a lot of misunderstandings, but we got much closer by doing this, and so yeah, I think everything is really good.
And I'll open it up for questions now. I have one more question, which is, you're 26, as you say, you've been dancing for 23 years. I guess it's hard to keep it up, certainly at that level, as one gets older, right? What does it look like for you now in terms of?
I don't think it's harder. It's actually, it's all in your mind. I find it easier and easier, and I do believe your body gets stronger and stronger until probably 35. But because I got the skill, like, not to perfection, but to the level I could sustain it by doing my own exercises, you know, and doing some performances in theaters. I can explore some other possibilities. So I love to explore movies, and
you're in the right town.
That's, you know, some, you know, very exciting, and you know, some inspirational character came from a movies, and I watch movies before I do ballet, so every role is sometimes different because I get inspired by movies. Fashion world is very interesting, you know, and so it's I realized that I don't want to just become a one thing. I was like, oh, I'm just going to be a dancer. I was like, no, I'm going to just be an actor. No, you can actually be an artist, and then you have more possibilities. And yeah, and the main thing is to do something good for this planet. You know, to do rather than being negative. And at some point, I did go that road. You know, like I want to be bad. I want to destroy everything, and I don't want to be an example to people. I don't want to be. I don't want the kids to look up to me, you know. I want to be the bad guy. But now I realized how stupid that was, and I taught a few classes to kids and seen how inspired they are. That's the best feeling you get working with kids and inspiring kids, and do something. Maybe I will have a foundation, because Fundaria Foundation sponsored my schooling. Just doing a good work and inspire people, and dance is important for the planet, because everybody's dancing, and that's just a part of us. And you know, every kid is dancing, and we forget that, but like that's how we start. Before we walk, we almost dance. And yeah, and important people like Gabrielle Tana, who was she's a huge movie producer, and I realized how powerful she was, and she likes dance. And I was like, oh, maybe that's not so bad, not such a bad thing to do. And then working with Dave LaChapelle, he's very famous in photography, and you know, I looked up to him, you know, who he was, and he loves dance more than anything.
If you want. But tonight, let me really thank Sergei and Stephen. Fantastic song. Good luck.